live, you are live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Safari Live. Beautiful impala feeding off to the side. My name is Byron, and with me on camera this morning I have Viam. Morning, Viam. And my colleague James and David on the other vehicle this morning. We have Lou and Chelsea in the FC, in the final control, the voices in my head. So they'll be speaking to us all morning. Again, a great welcome to Safari Live. A beautiful morning, 10 degrees Celsius, about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's still quite cool. You can see I've got the gloves and the beanie and the scarf. We are situated in the Greater Kruger National Park, right up in the northeastern part of South Africa. We are on a game reserve called Djuma, and it is great to have you all with us. Don't forget, we are live, so please send us your questions via Twitter on hashtag Safari Live, or email us, questions@WildEarthTV. We've got this beautiful herd of impala feeding off to the side just next to us, and the reason why they're all out in the open is for safety. They can find some food out here, and it's much easier to look for or keep an eye out for potential predators if they are out in the open. This is a bachelor herd. Viam and I just noticed that earlier. It's only males. That's not unusual. Often you'll find males together in these bachelor herds, and often the females stay together with females with a few dominant males perhaps within that herd until the rutting season. Then these males will challenge each other and try and set up a small territory that they may keep a group of females in that territory and mate with them. But through the rest of the year, they will stay together like this in bachelor herds. The mating season or the rutting season is usually between April and May, and that's when the males will fight and they snort and they run around and they try and show off to attract females. Really is a beautiful, beautiful morning. Great to start with some impala. I heard some branches cracking in the background. I think possibly there was some elephant. I'm going to head into that area and see if we can't find them. Let's go and have a look. I do see some fresh elephant dung along the road here and fresh tracks. Looks like quite a big elephant, very round, big track. So James has gone to the south of Djuma this morning. He's working around an area looking for a female leopard. He did have luck yesterday. While I'm looking for elephant, why don't you go over to James and let him say good morning to you.
Good morning, and welcome to this part of the Sunrise Safari here on Djuma, private game reserve. There are some starlings. They are saying hello to you all. My name is James. I'm not a starling. I'm a human being, sort of. And David is on camera today. He's wearing gloves that I last wore when I had a BMX. That was when I was 6. Please do talk to us. We are live, as Byron is. We actually had a bearded woodpecker there. Unfortunately, it flew off because Byron was blethering on for so long as you came across to us. Hashtags of... 1 second. There are hyenas calling from way in the north. Beautiful morning. So we are as live as Byron. Hashtags for our live questions at WildEarthTV. It would be good to hear from you during the course of the morning. We have come down here just seeing if we could find some female leopard tracks. Karula's tracks have headed east, and Herbert is following up on those, so we might be lucky there. I was just coming around here to see if we can't perhaps pick up tracks of Sindile, our favourite little male leopard. 20 years old he is. His collar has stopped pinging, and that means the batteries have gone flat, so it's probably not too long before it falls off. And then we'll have to track in the old-fashioned way. So that's what we're doing out here now. It is a glorious morning. We're going to move on because our woodpecker has moved. The starlings don't look quite as impressive as they do when the sun is actually shining upon them. All right, David, here we go. It is quite cold, as Byron said, but the weather report says it's 10 degrees Celsius, 54 Fahrenheit, which would make it the coldest day of the year so far. This is a patent untruth. It is not the coldest day of the year so far, so I'm not sure exactly where that weather report comes from, which work of fiction it has been derived. Let's go this way. We'll pop down to Treehouse Dam and see what's going on there. Effluent tracks. The effluents have been all over the place at the moment, so with any luck that will continue into the sort of really dry season. And just look at the landscape now, remember it, take a mental picture of things here, perhaps even take a screenshot, and in a month's or so's time, this golden sheen that covers the trees, largely the bush willow trees, which are the dominant species here, that will change, of course, because they will all just be sticks sticking out of the ground. All of the leaves will fall off them, and then it will look a little bit bleak unless you're quite used to this sort of landscape. And things will be a little tough for those who have chosen to live a life of herbivory. Some young franklins here. I'm going to stop at many different things this morning. Some little ones there on the ground, Davy, just fossicking around under the tree, because I just think that it's always worth stopping to listen in the mornings. Now those little ones, they're not fully adult, and they're still making, I don't know if you know the sound that day-old chicks make. I'm sure you've all seen those day-old chicks, those little yellow chickens, and that rather delightful sound they make, that sort of whistling sound that they make to each other. Well, franklins do exactly the same sort of thing. Just listen carefully. Naturally, they've stopped doing it now. I don't know where, I think they seem to have left their parents now. They're just slightly smaller than adults. And the franklins, quite interestingly, in fact, and I don't really understand this, so it's quite late. I mean, they've only just kind of, there were a few of them that had tiny little babies sort of 3 weeks ago. Now that's the middle of winter, and a franklin is ostensibly a seed eater and insect eater, so you'd expect it to have babies, I would have thought, during the summer months. Let's see what it has to say. Breeding, monogamous, solitary nester, males compete for mates, yes, blah blah. Laying dates, October to March. That's interesting. So we've had some late ones. That's really interesting, actually. So it's supposed to be October to March that they give birth, which would make complete sense, because that's when the rain is. There are insects and their seeds around. These ones around here, this is not the only clutch. Those franklins are probably about 3 weeks old. Okay, let's head across to Byron. He's got something large to have a look at.
This particular one, James, isn't very large. Look at that baby elephant. So I've managed to find the culprits of the cracking branches. Herd of elephant. Oh, look at that youngster. They are so great to watch. Always playful and learning. It's incredible. Looks like quite a substantial herd, but they're hiding in the thicket, just in the edge of the thicket. We spotted them as we drove past. It's a very, very cute youngster. I was trying to use its feet to possibly loosen a branch or a twig or a little root or something on the ground, and it's trying to feed on. Look at that. A youngster like that doesn't really know how to use its trunk very well, so it is still learning. It takes about 2 to 3 years for them to really work out how to use that trunk properly. So in the meantime, it'll be watching its mother and the other elephant in the herd trying to learn. That is so cute. I'm trying to listen. It sounds like Veerman just sounded like we heard some alarm calls. There was an elephant bellowing in the distance. I don't think that was an alarm call. Possibly just an elephant in a herd. I'm listening carefully now. Heard 1 or 2 snorts from an impala. That is the alarm call. So that's a call that they give if there are any predators around that might threaten them. And the impala will alarm call. That alerts all the other impala in the area so that they know there's danger around and they need to be on the lookout. Don't hear it again. Don't think it was a serious alarm call. Great to watch this young elephant. Going to see if more of these elephant come out. James has got a sunrise to show you.
There we are, everybody. The great red orb that lights our world has just come up in the east. Now it is a little bit south of east, and due east will probably be sort of a frame away from the left-hand side of your picture. I just thought we'd come and have a quick look at this before you go back to the elephants. Isn't that pretty? I've taken a rank average photograph of it already. It does move so very fast. See how it's going to go up over the top of those leaves. There it is. Alright, let's go back to Byron and his elephants.
James loves watching sunrise and sunset, and I must admit, so do I. There are 2 little elephants there now. You see the adult walking through the back. It's just behind them, but these 2 little ones are exploring and playing. Look at that. And some of you might be wondering, are these twins? They are not. I'm certain they belong to different females in the herd. They do appear to be of similar age. It's purely by their size. Just going to try reverse a little bit because there is a beautiful large female that's come out. Let's just see if we can show you. Hold on. But how wonderful is this? A great start. Herd of elephant. I love watching elephants. I can watch them for hours. There we go. I'm certain that is one of the mothers. She has large mammary glands under the front legs. Can you see that? So I'm sure one of those youngsters would be suckling from her at the moment. You're just reaching up with the trunk. The trunk is such a great tool for the elephant. And look how delicate it can be. Just tearing off some of those little branches. But the incredible thing is that is a thorn tree or an acacia tree. Very, very sharp thorns. But it doesn't stop the elephant from feeding on those leaves. They've got very thick skin, a thick hide. They're able to break the branches and feed on the thorns. I don't know how they do it. It's incredible. Really is amazing. You can see this is a wonderful profile of this female elephant. And if you have a look at her head or her forehead, you can see it is quite angular, almost at a 90-degree angle. Look at that, very, very angular at the top. And that is an easy way to identify a female or a male. The male elephant have a very rounded forehead, so the shape is quite different. The females have got quite a square, angular shaped head. Also, with herds like this, it is the females with the younger elephant. The big dominant males don't often move around with the herds. They will meet up with them at times when they are looking to mate with the females, and will try and see if the females or any of the females are in estrus, and then those males will hang around and try to mate with them. Once they do that, they move off again. You can actually see those thorns. Look at that, those very, very sharp thorns, but that does not stop the elephant. They'll feed on just about anything. They've got a lot of molars and premolars in their mouth that grind down the plants or the trees that they're feeding on. But not a very efficient digestive system. They only absorb about 20 to 30% of all the food that they eat, or the nutrients from the food that they eat. And the rest is passed through in their dung. And that's why elephant dung is very, very coarse. A lot of plant material that hasn't been broken down properly. It's not an efficient digestive system, but it seems to work for the elephant. But they are bulk feeders. That is why they're constantly feeding. Obviously need a lot of fuel to keep large bodies like that going. So Mary Ann has asked us an interesting question about these female elephants. Mary Ann would like to know why the mammary gland situated in the front, under the front legs, as opposed to the middle of the belly or towards the back. Mary Ann, I don't know. To tell you the truth, that's the way they've evolved. I don't know if there's a specific reason. I know with buffalo, the buffalo teats, just like cattle, are situated right at the back, and the reason for that, I know, helps the calves suckle while the buffalo are moving. The calves will move right behind and suckle between the back legs, but the buffalo can still move. With the elephant, I'm not too sure why they're situated under the front legs. Often when they're standing and feeding, the calves will come up and suckle, but I don't know if it's got a specific reason to it, to tell you the truth. It's an interesting question, Marianne. And some of these questions and answers and research that has been done in the past, I think a lot of it's theory, and scientists do studies on it. I'm not too sure how much of it is actually proven. So Roger's asked us a question: what is the general age for an elephant to become weaned off of its mother? So Roger, I've seen calves still try to suckle at the age of about 4, 5, even 6 years old. They will still try their luck and suckle from mothers. But they start feeding on plant material from a year and a half. They've already started to feed on plant material. But they do still try and get as much nutrients as they possibly can from the mother and the mother's milk. So I have seen young elephant that, as I said, are quite old, 4, 5 years, 6 years old, that are still trying to suckle from the mothers. So Michael is asking, when an elephant has twins, what is the likelihood of both calves surviving? Michael, I've never seen elephant giving birth to twins or heard of it. And I'm trying to think if it does happen. My understanding is elephant only give birth to one calf. It's very difficult for an elephant to raise such a large calf and have another one. I haven't heard of a situation where twins are born. These two that we have seen here that are similar age belong to different females. They don't belong to the one female. I'm 100% certain of that, because one is following a female over here and the other one has moved further into the thicket, and I'm guessing that its mother is in there. So I'm not too sure about twins with elephant. I've never heard of it and I've never seen it. I don't think it happens very often, if at all. We are starting to get some of that sunlight coming through now. Really beautiful morning, very, very peaceful morning. I think we're going to leave these elephant now, let them carry on with their breakfast, walking about, enjoying the vegetation. Let's cross back to my friend James and see what he's up to.
We found an impala, everybody, and then it went away into the bush. And other than that, we haven't seen one mammal for the whole day, sleeping. And then, sometime during the night, she came back to fetch them. She took them out the tree, and she's walked off towards the rising sun. I think that probably happened in the early evening yesterday, and she's probably headed off to take them to the next thing that she's killed. That's generally how the movement works. But these ridiculous birds. Now hornbills, these are yellow-billed hornbills, they love to sit in the first rays of the sun. You could just see the golden sun catching them there. Now watch them. Watch. I so enjoyed that. In the background, a southern boo-boo. So cool. Let's just listen to this while we wait for if he does the display again. Max Mum, you want to know if it's true or not that zebra and hornbills sometimes have the same call. Now, that might sound utterly outlandish to many of you, but Max Mum, it absolutely is true. In the distance, if you hear a zebra calling, it does sound a little bit like, I think it's more the red-billed hornbill than the yellow-billed, but yes. And when zebra alarm call, they go, whoop, 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 whoop. You'd never mistake them standing next to you for a hornbill. But in the distance, yes, they can sound like hornbills. I've thought exactly the same thing on a number of occasions. Just look how the sun catches him. His little feathers have gone very gold. Right, good, David. That was a nice sight. Better than the nothing.
Indeed.
We're heading down towards Twin Dams Road now, which is a little chilly. Now, as I was saying, Karula's general modus operandi at this stage is to kill something, go and fetch the cubs, they share the kill for a while, and then she normally moves off from the kill site, stashes them somewhere else, and then she leaves them there and goes off and hunts again. It's quite interesting as to why she wouldn't leave them. For example, yesterday they were away from where they finished their kill the day before. So they had a duiker there, they killed it, or she killed it, the three of them ate it. She moved away from that area, stashed them in a tree, and she went off, I think, to hunt again, for some lone time. She does definitely take lone time, which is obviously very important if you happen to be a solitary female leopard. And then she goes off and she'll fetch them, they'll kill again, or they'll eat again, and then she'll disappear off, or she'll take them away again, stash them somewhere, and walk off and have her lone time and kill again. And that's the rhythm of life at the moment in the leopard family. I wish we were spending a little bit more time with Shadow and her new little cub, but hopefully soon. Hello, Donald-Joe. You want me to do my hyena impersonation again because it made your wife giggle? Well, Mrs. Donald-Joe, this is just for you. Thank you, Louise. Louise says it sounded just like a hyena. Okay, we're nearly on Twin Dams Road. I haven't seen any tracks, but it fills me with confidence that Herbert is walking on them. Plenty of tracks of elephants around the place, as I said earlier. We'll just have a quick look here. Mainly because I need to get out of the car and try and warm up a bit. There's a big hole there, and if you run in front of a hole, you're likely to get smacked by a warthog. I don't think there's a warthog in there, but let's have a look. I think he'd have come out already. Hello? Hello? No, no warthogs in there. I can see that there are unfresh or some old tracks, possibly of porcupine going in and out of this burrow. But there's a stick here and a whole lot of leaf litter, so it's not very neatly kept. Now this grass is going to become a very, very precious commodity fairly soon. It's sitting on a termite mound. That means it's going to be nutritious, and although it's quite strawy and dry, look around. There's really not much left. So I think you'll find that this last bits of what we call Chlorus roxburgiana, or the feathered chloris, are going to be extremely important sources of forage as the dry season progresses. You can never be too sure. Very pretty the way it dances in the early morning light. Now I'm going to have to take my gloves off, David, to plug this thing back in. There we are. Blankie on leggies, and on we go. Right, let's head it back across to Byron, see if he's found anything other than his elephants.
I'm glad James has given up climbing trees and he's climbing termite mounds. It's much safer for him. We haven't found anything else just yet. Been looking around, there's some impala. It sounded like alarm calls. We went and had a look, but then we'd think it was just a male trying to keep females close by. It wasn't actually alarm calling. Often, you see, the males are clever. They'll snort like that once or twice. It sounds like an alarm call. So the females all huddle together, and then the males can kind of usher them to where they want. Ooh. Chilly in these dips, isn't it, Vim? Yeah. As you go lower down, all the cold air is still sitting there and it gets quite cold. While I'm driving, I'm also looking for tracks of any animals we might want to see. So Tim has asked us a question. Tim has asked, before Paul Kruger started the Kruger National Park and declared it a national park, Tim would like to know, did the animals that we see today, did they occur here naturally or were they introduced? No, they 100% occurred here naturally, Tim. All these animals were around. With the start of the national park though, they were just better protected, but the animals have always been here. You see something of him? A zebra. Zebra. There are a number of game reserves, Tim, throughout South Africa that have been started fairly recently, and animals have been reintroduced into areas. Oh, there's some just off to the right, just rolling forward a little bit. Oh, beautiful zebra. Just enjoying the grass that they can find here. It is very dry at the moment, but these animals are still finding food, which is good. It's very, very good. So Tim, as I was saying, there are a number of game reserves throughout South Africa, Southern Africa, that basically reclaimed old farmlands. So what's happened is the farmers have moved out and conservationists have moved in, and they've tried to re-establish the area and reintroduce wildlife that may have been found there before the farming. So there are game reserves like that, but with the Kruger National Park, these animals have always been here, always been around, and the populations now, obviously with it being a protected national park, have just increased, and they're doing very, very well. Zebra just moving off. That was a nice surprise. Hang on, we might get a nice view of them through here. We're sitting with the zebra, but James has finally found us something. Let's see what he's got.
Indeed I have, everybody. It's a hyena on patrol. He was jogging down the road towards us. And so we're just going to see what he does. We're right on the southern boundary now. Let's just see what he does. I think it's one of the males from our little clan. And definitely something is on the wind. He smelt something. Going off now to the south. I don't know where exactly he's going. There he goes. Stopped. He's listening. But he was coming bucketing along the road. He was running. Might just be walking around us, you know. He may have smelt something deep inside there, or much further east of here, west of here. His ears up. Now he'll walk like that and jog for forever, basically. They've got an amazing stamina. Isn't he nice? That's beautiful, caught in the light there. Didn't want to walk through the uncomfortable clay spot there. I'm going to turn around, everyone. There's a bit of noise behind us. I don't know what it is. It might be something. We'll go sort of parallel with him. See if we don't spot anything. Maybe the Styx lionesses brought their babies across here. That hyena will be in a dreadful amount of trouble if he walks into the Styx lionesses and their babies. You know, they're very out here. Is us. Gone. I think there's... Sorry about that, everybody. We're just in a slightly dodgy, windy signal area. It should improve. It's just see with the road. There, if you like. It's such fun to walk this time of the year. You can find these trails. Water.
Great, so James had a hyena. That's fantastic. I'm actually on my way towards the hyena den to see if we can't get a glimpse of those cubs. I haven't seen them yet. They've been hiding every time we've got there. We're not too far from them. Viam and I would like to go and have a look, see if we can't find some cubs for you. Hyena cubs. This morning has been great so far. Great start. Elephant, zebra, impala. James found one hyena already. It's nice to just drive quietly and listen and scan and see what you can hear or can find. Let's have a look quickly. Let's just see if Viam has seen something over here. Let me jump off quickly and have a look. Stay with us, everyone. Let's see what we got. A lot of zebra tracks around here, possibly the zebra that we saw just back there.
See this one? Next to the zebra there.
Zebra, all zebra tracks around here. Anyway, always worth having a good look. We just got to the entrance of the hyena den, the road that leads down towards the den. Let's see if we have some activity around there. I hope so. The sun's coming out, so it's warming up quite nicely. We may get them lying out in the open. So Ellie from Indiana has asked me what my next adventure is after I leave Safari Live. Ellie, thank you for asking. Good morning to you. Ellie, I am heading off to Londolozi, which is south of here. I am taking a safari down there for a few days. Guests that have booked through me and asked me to guide them. So taking them there on safari for about a week, which is going to be really nice too. A lot of impala around here, which is interesting because we are right at the hyena den. So I don't think the hyena will be out. So yes, Ellie, Londolozi for a few days with guests, and then back to Johannesburg again. That is where I live, and I operate out of Johannesburg, so it's easy for me to get to the bush when I need to go. It's not too far. We can either drive up or fly up to the greater Kruger area or wherever, or to Botswana. It's very easy to get anywhere from Johannesburg. That's interesting. No sign of hyena, just impala. We've got to the hyena den and we have found impala. I think James is going to find that very amusing. Look at that young male. See the horns, very, very young. But Ellie, getting back to your question, I'm sure I will be coming back to Safari Live sometime soon. Again, to help out whenever they need somebody. Give the other guys a bit of a break. And that's what I've been doing this week, and it's been fantastic. Been a lot of fun. Been great spending time with the team. And especially James. He's a good friend of mine. We go way back. Well, a few years. And so it's really great to spend time in the bush and guiding with one another, and enjoying a bit of the banter and finding stuff together. It's been great. Yeah, so no hyena at the hyena den. Interesting. But again, I think possibly the cubs could be down in the den site, and the adults are around scavenging, probably moving around. They would have been moving around quite a bit during the evening. The reason for that is they generally are nocturnal. They prefer scavenging at night or trying to look for food. They will also hunt for themselves if they have to. But in this area, they most likely wanted to find leopard or lions and see if they can't get any sign of a carcass that they can scavenge and steal a piece of meat. So I'm guessing they're probably still out looking for food, but will probably head back to the den site a little bit later. While I'm making my way out of the area of this den site, I can head back to James and tell him I found impala at the hyena den.
Woo! Impala at the hyena den. Great stuff. It's more than we found. At least we found a hyena. That was quite good of us. He disappeared to the south of us. We followed him for a while, and then he disappeared further. So we looked up over the hill where I thought I heard a noise. The noise I heard, I thought was perhaps game drives looking at lions in the area. They were driving around, but I didn't see anything. So nothing was there. We're now on the far eastern boundary. We're going to head north towards Beefelshoek Dam and see what we can find that side. Garuda's tracks were heading this way. I've heard nothing further from Herbert, so I can but assume that he has not been successful just yet. It is a glorious morning, but we are driving very slowly because it is still quite chilly. especially down by Twin Dams where we were there. David is basically hidden beneath various head adornments that are warming up his bonds. Elephant tracks here, naturally they are heading out of where the reserve is. That is irritating, especially if you haven't seen anything yet. You might have to stop and have a listen shortly. Let's stop and have a listen, everybody. When in doubt, stop and have a listen. What can we hear? Just Franklin's tick-a-doo, 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 tick-a-doo. Can also hear a few white-browed scrub robins, a couple of red-faced mouse birds going. Beautiful. It is so nice when the first sun rays touch your face, I have to tell you. There's some waterbuck up ahead. Let's go and have a quick look at them. I think they've headed off into the bushes though. Yes. More hyena tracks. There are two kinds of people in the world, everyone. Some who can say hyena and those who cannot. Now, the word hyena, that's how you're supposed to say it, has only got one H in it, and that is the first word of the first letter of the word. That's an H. The waterbuck have disappeared in there, I'm afraid. And many in the world are unable to accept this, and they say hyena. But why that should be the case, I don't really know. So you need to decide which person, what kind of a person you are. Are you a hyena or are you a hyena? And are you able to say hyena? we have had in the past and currently a few directors who are unable to let go of the second H. It is a psychological imbalance that they have. I don't know what it's indicative of. Rebecca, for example, cannot say hyena. Louise manages hyena. Tara Dales, who many of you will remember, who's now working in Johannesburg, she used to say hyena. She was unable, despite her very large intellect, to say hyena. David, say?
Hyena.
There we go. David's one of the correct school. Hyena. No. Hyena. Hyena. No, there's no H in it, Rebecca. Okay. Hyena. No! That's basically what we talk about in camp all day. Hopefully find you an animal to talk about that rather. Roger, you want to know about hyenas and alarm calls, and does it elicit alarm calls from animals? Now that's a very good question. It doesn't always, but sometimes it does. So Roger, if the hyena are definitely on the hunt, if you like, if they are clearly sort of circling around some impala, if there are a few of them, hyenas I mean, if there are a few of them obviously sort of looking to get a meal, then impala will alarm call at them. Often not very enthusiastically, often they'll just give a sort of half-hearted snort or two, but if it's very clear that the hyena are hunting, then they will. Sometimes if it's a lone hyena like that male we saw there, they might just look up, just check what's going on and then carry on with their eating. This is the impala. So yeah, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Wild dogs, they don't bother, they just run away as fast as they can. Leopard, lion, they will absolutely alarm call. Things like big pythons as well, that makes impala shout and alarm call. But it's leopards and lions largely that make the animals out here alarm call. Sometimes hyena, but it's just not that frequent. It's very obvious when a hyena is hunting and when it is just sort of running from one place to scavenge to the next. That hyena we saw there was very clearly on his way to find something to steal. He'd heard or smelt something in the wind. Alright, I'm going to not talk about hyenas any further. We're hopefully going to find an animal to show you. While we do that, let's go and find out what Byron has been doing off the car.
James, thank you for the lesson in pronouncing hyena. We are in search of the other den site. VM has told me there were one or two other hyena den sites around that have been used in the past, so we just want to go have a look. Very curious to see, maybe there is a little bit of activity around there. Let's find the road quickly which we need to take. There we go. Oh. Just thought I saw something back there. What a great morning. That area we saw the elephant this morning. Seemed to have moved off. Really beautiful morning. Starting to warm up a bit. Maybe the gloves will get taken off soon. Well, I'll try and find out where this hyena den is, the old hyena den. James has got a bird around, I think.
A bird around, I'm not sure what that means. There is a bird, and it looks like a dove to you, I'm sure, and I'm afraid we can't get any closer with the zoom. It isn't a dove, just listen to it calling. Obviously it's not going to call now. If it starts calling again, I'll shut up. It's a shikra. There. Cool, eh? The shikra is a little sort of sparrowhawky type bird. Used to be known as a little banded goshawk. And so it eats all sorts of other little birds. And it's obviously territorially marking there. And that's not the most impressive shot of a shikra. But they do have the most beautiful red eyes. Now remember I said to you, it's always a good idea to stop and listen. Well, that has just borne some fruit for us, because on the right-hand side of the car is an elephant. Unfortunately, it is in Torchwood, so we cannot get any closer to it. But can you see it there, Dave? There is the elephant. Oh, they're shouting at each other. It's a whole herd in there. There we go. Look at the colours of the grey and the gold there. Copper, I suppose. Grey and copper. Two of them. We'll see if they don't decide that they wish to... It's a very odd noise one of them's making. Very strange, actually. Is one of them on a termite mound there, Dov? I think it must be. See how high up he is? I don't think he's that massive. I think he's on a termite mound. That's quite interesting. They are amazing climbers, elephants.
Might be able to get him if you move back.
Shall I go back a little? Say when. Oh yes, he is. He's right on top of a termite mound. Look at that. He's not quite fully grown. I mean, they never get fully grown. They grow till they die, but not quite an adult, I don't think. I'll look with my binoculars. That's a pretty big cow, I think, standing atop an enormous termite mound and eating what's called a common false thorn, Albizia harvii. Very good elephant forage, and they don't grow big, those trees. They don't get any more than scraggly bushes like the one he's macerating now, because the elephants so enjoy them. I think she's very heavily pregnant. I don't know, you probably can't tell from this picture. You can't. I can see with my binoculars she's got quite a severe bump at her rear end. She will probably climb down off the termite mound and reveal herself to be a he, but as far as I can tell from here, that's what's going on there. Hungry, David? David's stomach is making very loud grumbling noises.
Thanks, James.
Mine will begin shortly. There's another elephant climbing up to the top of the mound now. Look at that. It's a young one trying to suckle, so it's definitely a female. Much too old to be suckling. And look, you know what he's doing? That young one is also biting the soil there. Hello, shiny. That could be interpreted in 100 different ways. Shiny. Louise, please give us the spelling of that. Shiny, you want to know... S-H-Y-N-E-E. Okay, this is shiny here. Shiny, you want to know about whether or not elephants will allo-suckle, i.e. will they suckle each other's youngsters. They can. It's not necessarily something they choose to do particularly frequently, but they do it. And certainly if the elephant calf is orphaned, then another cow will take over and nurse the young one. So there is an element of allo-suckling. I don't think it's quite as frequent or as ubiquitous as it is with lions. Lions do it all the time. It's just so funny seeing them just perched on top of their little termite mound there. That poor albizia tree thought, I found a safe spot up here. No elephant will climb up a little mound like this. Well, not so. Alrighty, well I think we'll leave these elephants. They're quite far away. Let's head up. We're still on the eastern boundary here, and we're heading up towards Buffelshoek Dam. We'll see what we can find back here. It was very nice of the elephants to pitch up while we were looking at the shikra, a little banded goshawk, which has flown off to go and eat some small birds. It's always with a slight tang of sadness that one says that on a day like this when it is so peaceful and lovely to be out, thinking that were I a yellow-bellied eremomola or perhaps a yellow-fronted canary, that shikra might grab me from behind and destroy me. Horrible way to spend such a lovely morning. Alright, let's go back across to Byron and see what he's managed to find.
So I haven't found anything yet, James, but I'm looking just to get my bearings. We here where this old den site was. Let's have a look. Just try and get in here quickly. The old hyena den site. Let's see what we can find. We just need to be careful. Our aerial is a little bit loose on the back. Got a lot of trees around here. Was it this one right here, Vim? Okay. Doesn't look like there's any activity around here. Just scan the area carefully. No, I don't see anything. But it was just worth coming to have a look. You never know. They could move between den sites. They do change den sites depending on how busy the den site has been. And the reason for that is occasionally they get a lot of fleas and little mites that bite them. Obviously, you can imagine with the youngsters in the den. But I think those other cubs are too young to be moved yet. So I don't think they will move dens just yet. Maybe within a month or so they could decide to change. There's also no guarantee that they will definitely change den sites. They could stay there until those cubs are old enough to move around with the clan. All depends. But always worth having a look around and just checking. Looks like James was the only one who found hyena this morning so far. And he didn't even go to a den site. It's not fair. Okay, let's see if I can get out of here quickly. James has suggested I try the den side of a road called Gallagher. I may just do that, James. Sorry, let me just get out of here. It's not that easy with all the branches around and the aerials, but I've managed. There are some hyena tracks around here, but there's no sign of the actual hyena. This is fun. I enjoy doing this. You're just looking around. You don't know what you're going to bump into. So Olenek from Michigan has asked us if elephant ever harass or kill hyena. I've never seen an elephant kill a hyena, but I think what will happen is if a hyena gets too close to the elephant, they will chase him, definitely. Elephant don't like other animals coming too close, especially predators. The herd of elephant will charge and chase away lions, leopard, hyena, any predator that comes into their environment or close to them. I've seen herds of elephant charge lions often and chase them away. Never seen them kill a hyena though, but I just assume they would do the same like they do to the lions. They will chase the hyena. I don't think the elephant would be able to catch the hyena. If they do run off, they are very fast, and they'll probably just keep a wide berth of the elephant anyway and stay out of their way. Some buffalo dung around, elephant dung. We've been very lucky the last few days. The last 2 days, James and I have had amazing game drives. We've seen so much, been able to show you so much. Cheetah, and wild dog, and lions, leopard with cubs, elephant herds, buffalo herds. We've seen so much. It's been incredible. Really, really very fortunate. Siberian Memory would like to know what other animals are on my bucket list, animals I would still like to see. I think right up on the bucket list I would say is the snow leopard. I'd love to see a snow leopard and have to get up into that area at some point. And then what else? I'd like to do a bit of North America and just see, try and see bears. That would be great. Polar bears in the Antarctic. What else? And jaguars in the Pantanal, or in South America. Get down to South America. I think that would be wonderful to see and try and experience. Saw some lion tracks this morning earlier, but they weren't fresh tracks. They were about a day old at least. I think it was the lionesses that we had a day or two ago. 2 days ago we had the lionesses. They was it yesterday morning? No, it wasn't yesterday morning. The day before. The days all roll into one year. The day before we had the lions on a kill right outside, or very close to camp, and those lionesses were chased off by 2 males. I think those tracks that we saw earlier this morning were from those lionesses. Moved up to our northern boundary, or the boundary with Buffelshoek, and they hung around that area, and I think they crossed over into that territory. Scanning carefully through the thickets while we're driving. I always think, while we're speaking, we possibly miss quite a lot. Not looking carefully enough. I mean, if a lion or a leopard was lying down in the long grass, or not, there's no long grass at the moment, but even just lying under a tree, very difficult to see them, and I don't think we would be able to if you're driving too quickly. And leopard tracks around here yesterday morning, fresh leopard tracks. We were just unable to find them. We drove along this road, there were no tracks, and we came back a little bit late in the morning, and the tracks were on top of our vehicle tracks, and we headed straight past camp, but nobody saw the leopard. Yeah, I think those are the tracks that we saw. Yeah, those are the tracks from yesterday. Followed them all along that road. It's amazing how they can just disappear if they want to. A leopard, in my experience in tracking and following leopard, if they do not want to be seen, you are not going to see them. They can disappear in seconds. They're amazing. Vim, which direction is that other den site? Is it along that way? Okay. Getting directions from Vim. He knows the area a bit better than me. He's been here longer than me. So Brian has asked us a question, do male leopards live longer than female leopards? Brian, no, generally not. Generally, female leopards will live longer than males. The average lifespan is between, I'd say, 15 and 17 years for a female leopard. For a male leopard, it's probably around 12 to 15 years. They're similar, but generally females do live a lot longer. The thing is, often what happens is when dominant male leopards, when they become old, they will get challenged by other male leopards for their territory. And often what happens is they get into fights, and those fights could injure them quite badly, and they may die from that. So the life expectancy of a male leopard is far less than a female leopard. Okay, I'm going to head towards this old hyena den site. Let's just have a look around this area. While I do that, cross over to James and see what he's up to.
I'm intrigued by the whereabouts of the hyenas, I must say. Like I said earlier, or a little while back, I think you'll find that that low-ranking female went to that den site simply because it was away from the other dominants, and the others are probably still, unfortunately, on some Mbambili. So maybe those cubs, she's decided, are old enough to take to the central den now, and maybe that's what she's done. Anyway, we found some relatively fresh male leopard tracks coming down this way, so we're just going to go towards Buffelshoek Dam and see if he hasn't popped out there. He did go down into the drainage line to the left of where your screen, and it's not possible to get a vehicle in there at all, so it was almost pointless going down there. But I don't think the tracks were from early this morning. I think they were from last night sometime, so he would have walked quite far. It was very clearly a territorial marking that he was doing. He left an enormous pile of dung on the road, which was very nice of him. Very obvious that he'd been there, so he was definitely marking territory. Quite possibly Tingana, our dominant male leopard. Otherwise, David and I have seen nothing, not one mammal. We just had reports from Cheetah Plains, from Andrew and Mike, who are sounding increasingly desperate on the radio. They too have found nothing. Aubrey doesn't seem to be out today. I can't raise Herbert on the radio, so everything seems to be well and truly asleep this morning. Oh, what is that, David? Is that the male leopard again? Let me just have a look here, everybody. He may have been to the dam and turned round. In which case, no, that's a lioness. This be a lioness. She be going that way. Let's go check the dam quickly, and then we'll come back and have a look here. They go off down there, and there's a road down there. We can go down there. Unfortunately, Wendy will have no signal, but if we find a lion, we can send Byron there. On Rusty. Well, at least we have some tracks. That's a good thing. It means there were things around here. Shamsan, nice question from you. Was that hold of speaking? Shamsan, sorry, I'm just getting a little confused about Wendy's signal at the moment. Shamsan, a good one for me about tracking. You say if animals run, do they leave less obvious tracks? It depends entirely on the substrate that they run on. So if they run through sand or sort of obviously soft soil, no, they don't leave less sign at all. They actually leave more obvious signs because they spray soil out. The tracks are less distinct, but they're very definitely clear and very obvious. Obviously they land more heavily when they're running. On rocky ground or on rockier ground, harder ground, it can be more difficult to see their tracks because the tracks are further apart. They're spaced further apart, which makes it a little difficult to work out what was going on. It's quite nice. Now, we know that there's a lioness around here that's got cubs. So we might be very lucky with that. But that, I think, would be tempting fate too much on a day like today, when the top sighting we've had has been of a shikra sitting in a tree disguising itself as a dove. I suppose we did have a hyena as well, and an elephant. It is starting to warm up, as Byron says. It's always the delightful part of the morning. But I've got to tell you, just to sit and be silent for a while is the best healing balm on a day like today. Still awake, David?
Oh yes.
David is still awake, everybody. It's lucky. Hello James in Texas, you're interested in how many animals in this area or in this park are close to being extinct. Well, as a species, James, there are a few endangered ones. We look at wild dogs. They are certainly endangered, and very distressingly an entire pack was wiped out the other day by canine distemper, domestic dog disease that really does create a major issue for animals here. Then we've got black rhino. Black rhino are an obvious example of an endangered species. They are about only 4,000 of them left in the world. Wild dogs are only about 2,500. So those are the two most obvious ones. There's absolutely nothing going on here at all. We just move into the middle so I can see down the drainage. There we are. We'll just catch the morning breeze. So this is Biffleshoek Dam, of course. The hippopotamus is not here. The sun is shining very brightly off the surface of the water. James, I think those are the two most obvious ones. There are a number of birds, like the ground hornbill that is endangered. Enormous turkey-like black bird. And I'm trying to think of any other mammals. I don't think there are any mammals that are endangered. There are many that are threatened, though. Lions, leopards, cheetah, elephants now, white rhino, all threatened. Because we as human beings are too idiotic to see their intrinsic value. Beautiful little scene, I must say, very peaceful indeed. Those are Egyptian geese you're looking at there. There's no sign of the male leopard. Joey, you're wondering about yellow-billed storks and whether we've ever seen them at Djuma. We have, you know, we've actually seen them at this dam. I'll show you a picture, everybody, of a yellow-billed stork. There aren't any at the moment, and they're certainly migratory as far as I remember. Jerry, that's quite an interesting bird question that you've asked there. I'm wondering if you've ever been out here, and if not, it's probably about time that you organise a trip. There's the yellow-billed stork. They're not common here, but they certainly can be found sometimes. They're resident and visitor, which means some of them migrate and some of them do not, but we don't find them often here. They're like wetter areas, basically, floodplains, large rivers, estuaries and lakes, rather than small dams in the middle of fairly semi-arid areas. But in good rain years you'll definitely see them, and I seem to remember we had one or two here at Biffleshoek Dam during the rainy season last year, which wasn't very rainy at all. Right, we're going to go to the top of the dam wall here, turn around, and then we're going to go down towards where those lion tracks were heading. They'll probably converge on the leopard tracks. The two of them will be lying very comfortably next to each other, sharing their breakfast, cubs playing all over the place. It's definitely what's going to happen. Watch this, here we go, Dave. You ready for that?
Yes.
I am too. I'm deeply ready for any kind of action. Shall we go down the lower road?
Let's try it on.
Yeah, let's try the low road. The dam wall may collapse underneath us, in which case, you know, it's been a good time, thanks. Now we don't lose signal here anymore, of course. We used to lose signal because we'd go down through the drainage and up the other side. Now, of course, there's a wall that would undoubtedly stop Noah's flood, and so that is no longer a problem for us. And if you're wondering why the dams have been modified and why they're so big, well, the answer is that there's a thought, if you like, that says there's going to be severe flood here. Long term, in the same way that I did with the purchase of stocks and shares, for example. Because so much of it is utterly beyond our understanding. So we might be lucky. All right, let's go back to Byron quickly and get an update from him. I will attempt to find something more exciting than the sound of my own voice.
Thank you, James. Yes, I hope you have some luck too. We haven't had any luck yet. Good morning, though, to Madam O'Connell and Madam Krill from Rodine, and to the grade 1 girls. Lovely to have you with us again. We are trying to find something, anything this morning. I was looking for hyena, but no luck just yet. James saw a hyena briefly this morning. He only got to see one. I went to the den site where the little cubs are, but the adults aren't there. And I think the little cubs are still sleeping inside. Myself and VM are driving around looking very, very carefully for any signs of animals. So glad you young girls get to go on a game drive with us so early in the morning. Hopefully we'll find something interesting to show you. Don't forget to ask your teachers to send us the questions that you might have. Such a beautiful tree in front of us. Just want to have a look. This is called a torchwood tree. I want to see if I can find a seed. I don't think I will be able to. It's very dry at the moment. A little dacre just ran off in through the thicket over there. Gave me a little bit of a fright. Always got to be careful when you jump out of a car, have a look around, make sure there are no animals hiding. So I've been looking for the seed of a torchwood, and I know James has tried it before. We haven't been too successful in the past, but it gets its name torchwood from the seed and the oil that is in the seed. What happens is, apparently, if you take a seed and you crush it open and you get the liquid that's inside the seed, you can use it to help light a fire. I haven't been lucky enough for it to work for me. I know James has tried before, and I don't think he has any luck. You can maybe ask him a little bit about it later. But just such a beautiful tree. That stem, very, very distinct stem. It looks very different to the other trees around here. Do you see how it appears as if the whole stem is twisted and curled around? It's a very, very beautiful tree. It has got sharp thorns on it, and it's not easy to climb. I know James likes to climb trees, but I don't think James would like to climb this tree. Come on, VM, we need some luck now. We need to find something. I've got a good feeling. Again, these beautiful open areas. Alyssa has asked us, are there any hippos around? Just some beautiful birds, Alyssa. Sorry, I just want to try to show you in this little tree. There we go. White-crested helmet shrike. Look at that beautiful yellow eye. Wow, that is a wonderful bird. You can see them there, they are. White-crested helmet shrikes. They are very, very beautiful little birds and always in family groups. There's quite a few of them around here. Look at the light on that beautiful bird. Oh, fantastic. There they go. Oh, wonderful. It's always nice to see new little bird species that we get flying around, especially the smaller ones. They're very interesting that you don't often get to see. But those white-crested helmet shrikes are always in little family groups. So you can easily find 4, 6, or 8 of them together. And they fly in little flocks from one tree to the next. Lovely to see them. Alyssa, getting back to your question about the hippo. There are hippo around, and I've seen a lot of tracks this morning too. The hippo move around and they eat grass during the evenings. Then, usually what they do is they return back to the water during the day. Now, James is at Buffelshoek Dam and he's been looking around for any sign of animals around there. But he can't seem to find a hippo. So perhaps that hippo is still out eating somewhere and may return back to that dam a little bit later. So Sasha has asked us a very interesting question. Sasha would like to know, do the hyena hunt for themselves or do they only steal food from other predators? So Sasha, the hyena definitely do hunt for themselves. They have to. Otherwise they're not going to eat that often. We don't often get to see them hunting though, and we generally only see hyena when they are stealing or trying to steal food from other predators like leopard and lion. But, oh, I see a warthog. Oh, I hope he stays standing for us. Hold on a second. Let me try to show you. Where has he gone? I think he has run off. There he is. Wait. I can still just see him. There we go. Let's see. There he goes. Did you see that little tail pop up as he ran off? So the warthog, whenever they run, they stick their tail up in the air and they run off very quickly. Now, the theory behind that is that the warthog use their tails to see each other in the long grass, and they follow the tail so they can see the tail, and then they'll follow each other away from danger. So whenever they run, they stick the tail up and they run very, very quickly. An old Shangaan friend of mine who is a tracker in this area used to tell a funny story. He would say that when the warthog run away from something, they run so fast that they squint their eyes. You know, if you get wind blowing in your face and you squint your eyes a little bit, and they run so fast that they squint their eyes because the wind is blowing in their face. But because their skin is so tight, that when they squint their eyes, the skin pulls really tight and makes the tail go up. But that's not the case. That's not the case at all. So Sasha, getting back to your question again with the hyena and hunting, they do hunt for themselves, especially in other parts of Africa, maybe where there are not so many predators like lion or leopard. They will hunt just as much as those animals, but in this area there's lots of lions, there's lots of leopards, so it's easier for them to try and steal food from those animals. But you are right, they do hunt for themselves. Seen a little antelope.